Welcome back, family. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. Don't press go. Do me this solid. Go ahead and click that subscribe button for me. I appreciate you. Hit the like button. Share. Comment under the videos, family. Let's interact a little bit. Critique me if you will. Support my channel by going to the Cash App. You see the screen. Drummer 1980. Drop a little change on me. Alright? You also can support my channel by going to the Super Thanks family, located under the video. And like I always tell y'all guys, I do appreciate every last one of y'all. Peace, blessings, and much success until you. Let's jump into this reaction. Let's go. Oh, God. He's back. I never left. Huh? I told you already. I don't make believe. I make believers. I'm your gracious host, family, drummer boy, 1980, hailing from the Carolinas. You hear that southern accent coming through the microphone. I hope you had a good day today. If not, you know the old adage, ask yourself why. And remember, happiness is an inside job, and it will always be an internal affair. Guys, we are back again with another reaction from none other than Courtney Michelle. She don't need no introduction. Y'all know who she is, all right? And she have a special guest, none other than the Queen Mother, Shahrazad Ali. Let's jump into this reaction, guys. Let's go.
So I appreciate you so much. I can't tell you how influential you've been in my life and a lot of women, and I want to take the time out to honor you and thank you so much for all the work that you've done. And tonight is just, we're going to talk about the women, and we're going to talk about Black women.
Well, that's what I've been talking about for over 30 years. So
yes,
let's talk about it.
Well, let's talk about it. So, let's begin it right there. So it has been over 30 years. We're getting close to 40 years. I know your first book came out around 1989. So the issues that you saw back then and the issues that you see now, do you see a change in Black women?
Well, there are some changes, that's for sure. But change doesn't always mean better. It just means different.
Right.
And so things are different now. Say back in the 90s, as just as a starting point, I think we were more joyful. We had more expectations. We hadn't been so disappointed as to get so cynical that we didn't trust anyone.
Mm-hmm.
I think the root of most of our issues is our distrust of our Black men.
So you think we were more trusting then, 30, 40 years ago, than we are now?
Yes, absolutely.
What?
At that time,
Mm-hmm.
the white power structure had not destroyed the Black man's image like he has done over the past 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And so he still was very special in our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And we were special in his. Girls went to school. They came out. They had picked ideas for careers. The boys had different ideas of work and jobs. They intended to go to work, many of them. And remember that in the 90s was at the peak of the crack epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were losing each other in that. It was just terrible. And crack was the first drug that the enemy had come up with that separated the mother from the cub.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It made Black women who were strung out on the drugs, we functioned differently about our children. In fact, we didn't even acknowledge most of them.
Right.
And that's part of what we're dealing with now. Our grandchildren and great-grandchildren are going to school and trying to mate with the great-grandchildren of the crackheads of the 80s and 90s. So those personalities are out there, and they're doing a lot of strange things. They have uncontrollable anger. They have the bipolar issues. They have hostility, and they're murderers. Yeah. So all of this came through the seed of a lot of those drugs. As I said, I think we'll be dealing with that for generations. And it created the broken family syndrome between Black men and Black women. You had some households with the grandparents, the parents, and the children all on drugs, all on crack.
Yeah.
So no good could come out of that. And the people who put it in our communities knew that. They offered it to our men as an opportunity for a job, to work, until they became addicted to the money and addicted to the filth that goes along with drugs and alcohol and prostitution. Yes, all of those things invaded us, and it separated us as Black women from our men, because it was real hard to try to love them then
when they were on drugs. Now I'm an 80s baby, and I unfortunately the crack epidemic affected me and my father, where he left when I was 2. Yes. Because of drugs.
Yes.
So I wasn't raised with my dad either. So I've always been a lot of our issues because we were fatherless and because of the crack epidemic. But then now I'm realizing, and you talked about feminism and how that did a toll on the Black community, in particular Black women. So what would you think would be the main cause or one of the main issues? Would you think it would be, or would you say it was the crack epidemic? Or is it more feminism? Or they both played the vital part of the breakdown of our family?
Well, family, did you hear the elder talking? Now, this here is a true elder. Not only by age, but by wisdom as well. Understand this, guys. Look at the perception of her. She's fully clothed. Listen at her dialect. Listen at the language. It's no swearing and cursing. You see the difference already, just from the onset. Do you see the difference? Pay attention to details. Be very attentive, if you will, okay? She brought up some very good points, and she put it in chronological order for you, okay? That's why it's so important. Listen to me. That's why it's so important, family, to talk to the elders. Because the elders have that infinite wisdom, that infinite well of wisdom that you can draw from. You understand? And I'm about to go in. And granted, I'm not for everybody. I'm somewhat an acquired taste, if you understand me, all right? But the Queen Mother, let me get my Dr. Umar Johnson on. Now, this here is a Queen Mother for real here. Honestly, okay? Queen Mother Shahrazad Ali. She have been doing this for years. Ever since I've been alive, basically. And she brought up a few good points about the crack epidemics, which she was spot on. I have no disagreements. I have no critiques. The only thing that I can do is just piggyback off of it. But do you understand? In prior videos, I sound somewhat like her because I talk to elders. So our vernacular are somewhat one and the same. The word usage might be slightly off, but you get the gist of the matter if you understand, right? Now, why would they want to attack the Black nuclear family? Ask yourself that. Some people that's just trying to just live their life. Nobody is trying to do any bodily harm to those people or do anything. Our people simply was just trying to live their life. And here comes some bloody jaw wolf trying to decimate your family structure. And I keep beating the drum on this point. J. Edgar Hoover said, the head of the FBI, the number one threat, and I'ma keep saying it, the number one threat to America was the nuclear Black family. And that's something that should stick in your mind. The number one threat to what? That should be the question. Because some people say, oh, there is nothing going on. You a fool. Or probably more so of they scared. A lot of Black people scared. And it's more easier to attack other Black people because they really ain't no consequences. But whenever you cross that line and start talking about other people, you know some consequences will ensue shortly thereafter. So you pick the easy targets. Always talking about the low portion of the Black society. Talk about the bottom, like the ghetto and the people doing all that. See, that's what you choose to focus on because the white people, gave you the okay to do so. But you don't never have smoke for nobody else. Just only the people that look like you. But she made a really good point about the black male image was still intact in the 90s. But Dr. Francis Chris Wilson warned us in the 1970s that the powers that be are going to orchestrate their media and all of their devices to have the black man in a dress. And look at what we have now. And she lived to see it too. You understand? But guys, it's very important to take heed of what the elder is saying, okay? Because you can tell that she's full of wisdom, all right? Let's move on to the next clip. Let's go.
All of those and nature played a part because whenever a female is forced to fend for herself, get her own food, root for her own protection, whatever it was, it makes us hostile toward the males in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And that hostility has played out in many of our lives. And it has made us sometimes just so upset, so frustrated, and so deeply hurt by whatever values we have made up. It's not saying they were the correct expectations, but we had them. And I think those are the kind of things that have helped to separate us. Also, remember, the 90s was the time when the school system took shop out of the public schools.
Right.
So where our men were learning automobile repair, now you can't hardly find a young brother that can change a tire. They were learning that. They were learning air conditioning, carpentry, refrigeration, welding. Well, these were jobs that they could look forward to doing even if they just got out of high school. Mm-hmm. Well, those jobs were taken away. And at the same time, the school system took away home economics for the girls.
You know, I was about to say that. The cooking, the sewing, the how to keep house. How to keep house.
In fact, sisters laugh and brag about the fact they can't cook. Mm-hmm. Food is what sustains life. And traditionally, the females of every household around the world have been in charge of nutrition. Right. Even if the man goes out and gets the food, he brings them back to us to prepare it. So that's a very powerful position since food sustains life and it also determines how long we're going to live depending on what we eat. Yes, so that's a very powerful position they put us in and then taught us not to cook and don't want to cook and made it a made it a hostile thing and one of labor instead of one of love.
Right.
So, we had to deal with that.
Well, let me
used to happen during the time that we were also introduced to fake fingernails and wigs. Now, at that time, now we talking about back in the 80s.
And that was hot in the 80s. People talk about wigs now. Oh no, you get the big bouffants.
Listen, people used to go to the bank and take out a loan to buy a wig. Because at that time, wigs were only used for the sisters who had alopecia or who had short hair or balding or something. It wasn't just for a beauty thing. And they weren't tripping, wearing it down to their ankles. All right. But at that time, and the Asians brought in the fake fingernails. We were having a lot of great black expos, which we no longer have, rarely. And at that time, it was black business people out. And one of the main attractions was the people who were there who knew how to put on the fake fingernails. Okay. So that became big then. And it has come to now where we're just all dealing with almost a self-worship. And it has left from our hair to our eyelashes.
Okay.
To our lips, to our breasts, to our eyebrows. Everything has been altered some kind of a way that has affected our representation of us in the world. We have a lot to overcome because black women are the major players in porn all over the world. This is the image that a lot of foreign countries first get of us, is in a porn movie. It's an underground thing, but we have starred in more of them than anyone. Yeah, and we are proud of it. And Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion and Nicki Minaj, they're not helping our young girls.
No, ma'am.
And I'm not thinking about none of that nonsense about don't knock somebody's hustle. If the hustle is wrong, just like selling drugs, I'm going to speak on it.
Ooh, wait. She's cooking up, boy. I see the crack jumping in the pot. She whipping, huh? You heard me, didn't you? First thing that she talked about was the woman survivor. What did I tell y'all in the last video? This video sound like my last video. It's the mirror image almost. Because some of these same things I was talking about in the prior video to this one, but I'm going to just go ahead and just bring them over here. All right? She was talking about the women survivor. I told y'all guys, whenever it comes to a woman survivor, when she have to fend for herself, a lot of times a woman do get hostile. A woman will choose her survivor over you. God almighty, no. Let me say that one more time. A woman will choose her survivor over you. And that's just the way it is. It's called human nature. That's just what it is. And she made another great point about the schools taking out certain programs like plumbing, HVAC, carpentry, home ec, and all that. See, what they did is they took out things that will cause you to be self-sustaining. Oh, God. The fundamental principles of sustaining your life. They took them out. And she is right. I hate to say it, but she's 100% correct on this. This is an undeniable fact. Most guys today don't know how to change no tire. And that's just the truth. Most guys don't know how to do any what I call manly things. They just don't know how to do it. If I'm lying, put it in the comment section. Most guys' manhood has been stripped from him because the system has engineered an environment that a few people will make it out, but the majority will just become a statistic, or they will get caught up in some feces, if you will, because I don't curse. You never heard me curse. So I just say feces, dung. They always will get caught up in something because that's how the system is engineered. Now, you do have to take personal accountability to a certain level, but I view it somewhat like a cruise ship or either a battleship or something like that. When there is a captain, the captain is in charge, no matter what happened on that ship. Oh, God. You heard me, didn't you? Let me say that one more time again. The captain is in charge of the ship. He's supposed to be the last one off the ship. Everybody else is supposed to get off first. Whatever happened on that ship, the captain is responsible. The government of these United States is responsible for a lot of trauma, a lot of tragedy, a lot of hoopla and riffraff in the black community. They put drugs in the community. Why? They put them there. And I know some people say, well, they didn't have to use them. Correct. But whenever you create an environment where you economically script people, understand this idea right here. When you economically deprive people and people start to lose hope, people literally want to feel good. So what is the closest thing that actually you can get a cheap high from? Drugs or sex? You ever thought about that? Let me repeat that. Drugs, either sex. And a lot of times whenever you have sex, you know what happens 9 months later, right? You have a lot of kids. And a lot of black people have suffered psychologically. See, but people don't want to deal with this. They just want to tell them, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. You shouldn't be doing. Now, some people, granted, some people can do better. Now, I give you that. Some people can do better, but they chose to digress and go back. I literally know some guys and some women that I grew up with, and they had wonderful parents, had good parents. The parents looked out for them, and their parents gave them the best life as possible. And they turned out being a bum. And I know the parents didn't raise them like that because I used to go to the house with them. The parents was loving, was caring, and it was a two-parent home. Now, those are the people that I say, they could do better. Now, you got to take personal accountability for that one, because there was a choice. But whenever you in the hood and you don't see no way out, it's rough now. I mean, it is rough. It is rough. And she made another good point about self-worshiping. Yes, our women do that. Everything up on the outside. BBLs. Get the nails done, which I don't have a problem with women getting the nails done and what have you. Getting the hair done, putting on wigs and all that. Like how she said. Back then, women didn't wear wigs like that. The only time women wore wigs is they had some type of medical condition or alopecia or something of that sort, right? But now, a woman could have a head full of flowing hair like the Niagara Falls, and she too lazy to get something done. Oh, God. I'm treading on dangerous ground, but it'll be all right. I'm built for it. Don't worry about it. You coming back anyway. She could have a head full of hair, flowing, beautiful hair. I'm talking about beautiful hair. And she too lazy to do something with it. Either that's a truth or either that's a lie. Which one is it? Put it in the comment section. And I like what she said about Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion. I like what she said. It ain't nothing about doing me. See, that's the problem. You function as an individual instead of as a collective. Understand that. See, you play individualism. Everybody else play a group sport. That's why you stay in the rear most of the time. Just like Kanye. Should I say, just like Kanye West? Yep, got $1 billion. But look at what's about to happen to him now. You finna see, and that's all I'm gonna say. All right? Guys, what do y'all think so far? They're probably gonna end up being a part 2 and part 3 to this right here, okay? So this here was good. This here was an excellent interview, Courtney. Shout out to Courtney. Shout out to you, sis. You are doing great work, okay? But until next time, peace, and remember, there is more.